Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked around your life here at the chaos, the confusion, the constant search for what's next and wondered, why didn't anyone prepare me for this? You spent years in school learning equations, memorizing facts, chasing grade as a broken bar, but no one ever sat you down and taught you how to be disciplined, how to lead with integrity, or how to recover from failure. That's not just a flaw in the system, that's a crisis. We are graduating students who can solve a calculus problem but can't manage their emotions. A broken bar, they can recite Shakespeare, but don't know how to handle rejection. A broken bar, they know the elements of the periodic table but don't know how to manage time, stay focused, or persevere through failure. The power of discipline over talent is one of the most essential truths that go untaught in traditional education systems, yet it holds the key to success far more than any natural gift or ability. Talent can open a door, but only discipline keeps it open. You can be the most naturally skilled, charismatic, or intelligent person in the room, but if you lack the discipline to consistently show up, improve, and persevere, that talent becomes meaningless over time. Discipline is what makes people rise early, stay late, and push through the days when motivation disappears. The truth is, motivation fades, but discipline sustains. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps you going even when the spark dies out. In every school, students are often praised and rewarded for being gifted or naturally bright, but rarely are they taught how to develop the inner strength required to keep performing when the excitement is gone. That's the missing lesson. No one teaches you that your ability to endure, to stay focused, and to stick to your values even when it's hard will always outperform raw talent over time. The athlete who practices every day, even when no one is watching, will eventually surpass the one who relies solely on natural speed or strength. The student who disciplines themselves to read, reflect, and write regularly will eventually outpace the one who coasts by on high IQ alone. Talent creates potential, but discipline turns that potential into progress and progress into achievement. Discipline is about small decisions made consistently. It's in the choice to study instead of scroll. It's in the decision to wake up early, prepare ahead, and stay focused on what really matters. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it's always powerful, and it's this power that shapes lives. It's this power that builds character. Without discipline, talent is like a car with no fuel. It may look good, but it's not going anywhere. This principle isn't just about career success or academic performance, it's about building a life of substance. Discipline teaches you how to delay gratification, manage your time, treat others with respect, and pursue what's right instead of what's easy. Schools should be teaching this truth as a foundation, not as an afterthought. The world outside the classroom does not care how talented you are if you don't have the discipline to show up, do the work, and push through challenges. The world rewards results, and results require habits built on discipline. By the time most people figure this out, they've already wasted time chasing shortcuts, relying on charm, or hoping for easy wins. But life doesn't give you what you wish for, it gives you what you're willing to work for, repeatedly. Discipline is the skill behind all skills. If you can master that, you can build any life you want, regardless of where you started or what you were born with. That's why it should be taught in every school. Because discipline isn't just a trait, it's a lifestyle. And without it, talent dies young. The importance of having a vision is one of the most vital lessons that should be taught in every school, yet it is often overlooked. A clear vision acts as the compass that guides your actions, your decisions, and your entire life direction. Without vision, a person drifts, bouncing from one thing to the next without purpose, wasting energy, time, and potential. Schools teach information, but they rarely teach students how to create a personal vision that gives that information meaning. It is one thing to know how to solve problems or write essays, but it is another thing entirely to know why you are doing any of it. That why is your vision. Without it, education becomes a routine instead of a mission. A vision isn't just about goals or plans, it's about clarity. It's about being able to see something in your mind that doesn't exist yet and then aligning your thoughts, habits, and actions to make that vision real. A strong vision brings focus, and focus eliminates distraction. When you know what you want to become, what you want to achieve, and what kind of impact you want to leave. You start living with intention. You stop wasting time on things that don't serve your purpose. You stop following crowds, trends, and empty pursuits because your life is no longer being lived on accident, it's being lived on purpose. Most students spend years memorizing facts and passing exams without ever being asked what kind of life they want to live. They are told what to study, what to pursue, and what success looks like, but they are rarely challenged to define success for themselves. That's why so many graduates feel lost even after receiving their diplomas. They were trained to follow a path but never taught to create one. That is the tragedy of an education system without vision training. Vision gives meaning to effort. It helps people stay committed when things get hard because they know what they're working toward. Without it, effort feels empty, and when that happens, giving up becomes easy. A vision isn't about being certain of every step. It's about having a picture of the end result and being willing to walk the unknown road to reach it. Every great leader, entrepreneur, artist, or world changer had one thing in common: they had a vision. It wasn't handed to them. It came from within. They saw something no one else saw, and they kept that image alive through seasons of failure, pain, confusion, and delay. That kind of resilience is born from vision. That kind of fire is what should be ignited in every student, not just through words but through guidance, examples, and personal discovery. Vision also protects you from comparison. When you know your path, you stop looking at everyone else's. You stop measuring your worth against someone else's timeline. Vision gives you the patience to grow at your own pace and the strength to stay in your own lane. It's not just about achievement, it's about identity. Vision shapes who you are becoming, not just what you are doing. When students are taught to develop a vision early on, they become more confident, more grounded, and more driven by purpose rather than pressure. Imagine a classroom where students are not just preparing for exams but preparing for purpose. Imagine lessons designed not only to transfer knowledge but to inspire vision. The world is full of intelligent people who lack direction. What good is brilliance without a destination? What good is talent without a target? Vision turns ability into destiny. It turns energy into progress. It is the starting point of all meaningful success. That is why the importance of having a vision should not be optional, it should be foundational. It should be the first thing students learn and the lens through which they interpret everything else they are taught. Because when a young person discovers their vision, they unlock something far more powerful than any textbook. They unlock their future. Failing is essential to succeeding, yet this truth is often hidden or ignored in most educational environments. From an early age, students are conditioned to avoid failure at all costs. They are taught to fear red marks, low grades, and the embarrassment of getting it wrong. But in doing so, schools unintentionally create a culture where failure is seen as the end rather than a necessary part of growth. The irony is that every great success story is built on a foundation of repeated failures. People who change the world, lead industries, and leave lasting legacies did not get there without falling flat many times. They learned to see failure not as a stop sign but as a teacher. Failure teaches lessons that success never could. It strips away pride, forces reflection, builds resilience, and tests how deeply you really want what you say you want. If schools embraced failure as part of the learning process instead of punishing it, students would grow up unafraid to take risks, unafraid to dream bigger, and unafraid to try again when they fall. Right now, too many students are paralyzed by the fear of messing up. They become so focused on getting everything right that they stop challenging themselves. They stop reaching. They settle into what's safe, what's familiar, and what's acceptable. But comfort never made anyone great. Growth requires discomfort. It requires the courage to stumble, the strength to get back up, and the humility to learn from the fall. The truth is, you cannot succeed without failing first. Failure is the training ground for greatness. It's where character is built, where perspective is shaped, and where inner strength is forged. When students are taught that failure is a normal and expected part of the journey, they stop seeing it as shameful. They begin to understand that each failure is a step forward, not backward. They learn to analyze, adapt, and try again with more wisdom. They learn grit, and grit is far more powerful than mere intelligence or talent. Grit is the reason someone keeps moving when everything says they should quit. In real life, rejection will come, doors will close, people will say number, plans will fall apart, but none of that means you're unworthy or incapable. It just means you're in process. Schools should prepare students for that reality, and not by sugarcoating it, but by empowering them to face it head-on. Imagine the shift that would happen if, instead of asking what grade did you get, we asked, what did you learn when it didn't go as planned? That shift would create people who are not only smart but also strong. It would produce individuals who don't crumble under pressure but thrive in it. The classroom should be a safe space for failure, a place where trial and error is encouraged, where mistakes are seen as milestones, and where resilience is celebrated more than perfection. Because in the real world, it is not perfection that leads to impact, it is persistence. The ability to keep showing up, to keep working, to keep believing even when the outcome isn't immediate is what creates real success. We celebrate the achievements of famous figures, but we often forget how many times they failed first. They didn't win because they were perfect, they won because they refused to give up. That lesson should be ingrained in every student from day one, because failure is not a curse, it is not a label, it is not a dead end, it is the path, it is the fire that purifies, it is the force that humbles and elevates at the same time. And once you understand its purpose, you stop fearing it. That is why failing is essential to succeeding, because failure is the proof that you're trying. It means you're stepping out, taking risks, aiming high. And those are the people who ultimately rise, not because they never fell, but because they always got back up. The role of gratitude in service and greatness is one of the most powerful, yet most ignored, principles in modern education. We live in a world that constantly promotes self-centered ambition, individual success, and personal gain. From early on, students are taught to chase achievements, collect awards, and build resumes that shine with accolades. But what they are rarely taught is that true greatness comes not from how much you get, but from how much you give. Gratitude and service are not weak ideals, so they are the strongest foundations for a life of meaning, fulfillment, and lasting influence. Gratitude shifts the mindset from scarcity to abundance. It reminds you that no matter where you are, there is always something to appreciate. A grateful heart sees opportunity where others see obstacles. It finds purpose in small beginnings and learns to celebrate the process, not just the outcome. When students are taught to be thankful for what they have rather than resentful for what they lack, they become more resilient, more content, and more motivated to move forward. Gratitude doesn't mean settling, it means starting with appreciation, and building from a place of inner peace instead of desperation. And it doesn't stop there. Gratitude naturally leads to service. When you realize how much you've been given out, whether it's time, resources, education, or even a second chance, you begin to understand the value of giving back. That's where greatness is born, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows where people serve without recognition. The person who chooses to lift someone else while climbing their own ladder is the one who leaves a mark that lasts. Schools often focus on individual achievement but miss the deeper lesson, that helping others rise is the highest form of success. Service doesn't require a platform or a microphone. It starts with small acts, encouraging a classmate, helping someone struggling, using your voice for the voiceless. It's in the decision to make someone else's life better even when you gain nothing in return. And what most people don't realize is that service multiplies your impact. It builds relationships, opens doors, and creates a ripple effect that spreads farther than any personal achievement ever could. When you make it your mission to serve others, people remember you not just for what you did, but for who you were. Greatness without gratitude turns into arrogance. Greatness without service turns into selfishness. That's why both are essential. They keep you grounded, connected, and focused on what truly matters. The most admired leaders, mentors, and visionaries in history all carried the spirit of gratitude and used their position to serve a greater cause. They didn't just accumulate power, they used it to empower others. And that is what schools should be teaching: how to lead with humility, how to be thankful even in hard seasons, and how to serve even when it costs you. When students are encouraged to express gratitude daily and not just during special occasions, they begin to develop a habit of appreciation. That habit shapes their perspective, reduces entitlement, and strengthens emotional intelligence. When they are given opportunities to persevere both inside and outside the classroom, they begin to see the world beyond themselves. They understand that their skills, knowledge, and resources aren't just tools for personal gain, but gifts meant to be shared. This kind of education creates not just smart students, but powerful human beings. People who don't just chase status, but choose to make a difference. People who define success not by how high they go, but by how many they bring with them. That is real greatness. It doesn't scream up, it shines. It doesn't boast, it builds. It doesn't demand, it gives. And when students learn this early, they carry it for life. That is why gratitude and service are not optional add-ons to education. They are essential to forming the kind of leaders, change-makers, and people the world actually needs. Because in the end, it's not the degrees on the wall or the trophies on the shelf that define your legacy. It's how you lived, how you gave, and how you loved. That's the lesson every school should be teaching. Spiritual foundation over material success is a concept that rarely finds its way into the classroom, yet it is one of the most critical lessons for a fulfilling life. From a young age, students are taught to chase grades, degrees, jobs, and financial security. The world measures success in numbers of how much money you make, how many followers you have, how high you climb the corporate ladder. But no one stops to teach the inner foundation that keeps a person grounded when everything external starts to shake. Material success without spiritual grounding is like building a mansion on sand. It may look impressive for a while, but it will not withstand the storms of life. Spiritual foundation does not necessarily mean religion, though for many it does include faith. It means knowing who you are at your core. It means having a set of principles, values, and beliefs that guide your decisions, especially when no one is watching. It means having a moral compass that keeps you aligned when temptation, pressure, and chaos try to pull you off course. Schools often focus on external performance, but they fail to develop the internal compass. This is why people can achieve everything they dreamed of and still feel lost. Without a spiritual anchor, success becomes empty. You may win the world and lose your peace. You may have a title but no joy, a salary but no purpose, influence but no integrity. The world is filled with people who look successful on the outside but are breaking down internally. Depression, anxiety, burnout, and moral failure often follow those who gained everything externally but neglected their soul. That's why spiritual foundation matters. It helps you define who you are beyond what you do. It teaches you to value peace over popularity, purpose over possessions, and integrity over applause. It reminds you that your worth is not determined by what you achieve but by the person you become. Material success can buy comfort, but it cannot buy contentment. It can open doors, but it cannot heal wounds. It can impress others, but it cannot fulfill your spirit. True fulfillment comes from alignment between your actions and your inner values, and that kind of alignment requires spiritual depth. When schools neglect to nurture this, they produce skilled professionals who may lack the emotional and ethical tools to handle success. That's why we see so many talented people fall into scandals, addictions, or self-destruction because the inner person was never developed. Imagine if students were taught how to pause, reflect, and check in with their values. Imagine if success was measured not just by how far you go, but by how aligned you stay. If gratitude, empathy, humility, and character were emphasized alongside academics, we would raise a generation that not only knows how to win but knows how to win the right way. Spiritual grounding gives you the strength to say no to shortcuts. It gives you the courage to walk away from money when it costs you your morals. It helps you endure failure with grace and handle success with humility. When storms come, and they always do, money, fame, and recognition won't keep you steady. Only your spiritual foundation can. It is your deep-rooted belief in something greater than yourself, in the purpose behind your journey, and in the value of your own soul that keeps you from falling apart. It gives you resilience, it gives you clarity, and most importantly, it gives you peace. This is the missing lesson in most schools. Students are taught how to earn a living, but not how to live. They are taught how to win awards, but not how to build a meaningful life. They are taught to be successful, but not to be whole. Spiritual foundation fills that gap. It completes the picture, and without it, No amount of material gain will ever be enough. That is why this truth should be part of every educational system, because we don't just need smart people, we need wise people. We don't just need achievers, so we need people of depth. We don't just need success stories, so we need soul stories. A generation that builds their lives from the inside out, not from the outside in. That kind of life lasts, that kind of success matters, and that kind of foundation will carry you through every season, high or low, rich or poor, seen or unseen, because when the soul is secure, the world cannot shake you. Responsibility starts with you. It is one of the most powerful truths that every young person should be taught early in life, yet it is often overlooked in school systems that focus more on memorization than on personal ownership. From an early age, many are conditioned to believe that someone else is responsible for their success: the teacher, the system, the parents, the government, or even luck. While those influences certainly play roles in shaping opportunities, the ultimate responsibility for the outcome of your life rests on your own shoulders. Until you embrace that truthfully, you will continue to live in limitation, always looking outward instead of inward for answers and direction. No one owes you anything, and not the world, not your school, not your peers. Harsh as it sounds, this realization is freeing. When you stop expecting others to carry the weight of your future, you begin to take your life seriously. You stop blaming, stop waiting, and start building. Responsibility means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means doing what needs to be done, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. It means realizing that your choices, your habits, and your attitude have more power over your future than your environment ever could. In school, students are rarely taught how to develop this mindset. Instead, they're often taught to comply, follow rules, and aim for approval. While discipline and structure are important, they become dangerous when they replace ownership. When students are constantly told what to do but never taught why it matters or how to take control of their own decisions, they become passive. They learn to follow but not to lead, to react but not to initiate. And the real world does not reward passivity. It rewards action. It rewards people who take initiative, solve problems, and take responsibility not just for their own lives, but for the lives they impact. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you control everything. Life is unpredictable. There will be pain, loss, and injustice. But responsibility is about how you respond to those things. It's about refusing to let your circumstances define your character. It's about choosing growth over excuses and resilience over self-pity. Every moment you waste blaming someone else is a moment you could have spent learning, improving, or building something better. When young people are taught to take full responsibility for their actions, their emotions, and their future, they become unstoppable. They stop seeing themselves as victims and start seeing themselves as creators. They become proactive instead of reactive. They stop complaining about the darkness and start learning how to build light. This mindset is not just about success, it's about freedom. Because the moment you take ownership of your life, you become free from the control of everything and everyone else. You are no longer a puppet of the system, the past, or the opinions of others. You are the author now. Responsibility also builds character. It teaches you to admit when you're wrong, to fix what you've broken, and to follow through on your word. These are not just soft skills, they are essential qualities for leadership, relationships, and personal growth. They create trust, they attract opportunity, and they form the backbone of every lasting success story. What if schools taught students that their mindset matters more than their marks? What if every young person learned that their future is shaped not just by talent or intelligence, but by how seriously they take their role in creating it? We would raise a generation of powerful thinkers, creators, and leaders, of people who don't wait for handouts, but build with their own hands. People who rise not because life is easy, but because they take full ownership of who they are becoming. Responsibility is not a burden, it is a gift. It is the key that unlocks your potential. The earlier you accept that, the sooner you can start designing a life that reflects your true vision and values. No one can walk your path for you. No one else can live your purpose. That's your job. That's your mission. And it all begins the moment you stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror. Because responsibility doesn't start with your teacher, your parent, or your boss. It starts with you. And once it starts, it never stops, because greatness is not handed to you. It is built, owned, and lived a one responsible decision at a time. Your dream is your responsibility. No one else will carry it for you. No one else will chase it, protect it, or bring it to life the way you are meant to. This is a truth that every person should be taught from the beginning, yet in most schools and classrooms, it is never addressed. We are taught to dream big, to set goals, and to imagine bright futures, but we are rarely taught that once the dream is born, the weight of making it real falls entirely on our shoulders. That weight is not something to fear up, it is something to embrace, because within that responsibility lies your power. Dreams are fragile when they begin. They're just ideas, whispers, flickers of what could be, and because of that, they are vulnerable to the noise of the world, and the doubts, the fears, the rejections, the delays. It is easy to get discouraged, especially when no one else sees what you see or believes what you believe. But that's the test. If your dream is real to you, then your commitment to it must be stronger than anyone else's disbelief. No one can dream for you. No one can fight for it the way you can. Your vision is yours, and that means the daily discipline to pursue it must also come from you. Too often, people wait. They wait for the perfect timing, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect support system. They wait for approval, for permission, for someone to say, yes, now you can begin. But waiting will steal your future. The world doesn't reward those who up, it rewards those who work. It rewards those who show up day after day, quietly building when no one's clapping, learning when no one's watching, and believing when no one else does. The truth is, your dream will cost you a time, energy, comfort, sometimes relationships, but that cost is the price of something worthwhile. If it were easy, it wouldn't be valuable. Some people will not understand your dream. Some may mock it, others may try to distract you from it. But if your dream lives inside you, then you are the one responsible for feeding it. You are the one who must protect it from negativity, from comparison, from fear. No one else can do that work for you. It's not their job. And the moment you place that responsibility in someone else's hands, awaiting for them to inspire you, to support you, or to walk it with you, you lose power over your own destiny. Taking responsibility for your dream means taking action even when you're uncertain. It means starting small, staying focused, and moving forward without needing applause. It means waking up on the hard days and saying, I still believe in this. It means staying loyal to the process, even when results don't come quickly. Many people give up too soon, and not because their dream was impossible, but because they were waiting for someone else to push them when that push had to come from within. Your dream will challenge you. It will stretch you. It will expose your weaknesses and demand your growth. And that is the beauty of it. The journey toward the dream is what transforms you. It forces you to become disciplined, courageous, wise, and resilient. It pulls greatness out of you, and not because the world asked for it, but because the dream required it. And when you arrive at the goal, you will realize that the journey shaped you far more than the destination ever could. Education should not only teach students to dream, but to own their dreams with full responsibility. That means accepting that no one is coming to save you, that shortcuts won't work, and that greatness is not an accident. It is the result of relentless effort and unshakable belief. We need to raise people who stop looking outward for answers and start looking inward for strength. Because no dream ever becomes reality through hope alone. It takes grit, it takes grind, and it takes the daily decision to show up, no matter what. So let this be a reminder: your dream is not too big, not too far, and not too late, but it is yours, and yours alone. Own it, protect it, work for it, sacrifice for it, because the world doesn't need more wishers, it needs more doers. And your dream deserves to be seen, and not someday, but now. The responsibility starts with you. The moment you accept that is the moment your dream begins to breathe.